Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News, and the final weekend of VCT qualification matches is going on today. Playoffs starts next week. We'll talk about the North American matches, the European matches which have finally been scheduled again for some of the teams, and plenty of other drama to dive into as well. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from George Geddes. So Sonics, we talked a couple of days ago, they were going to make some significant roster changes. Right now, there's plenty of roster moves, I'm sure, like in the works behind the scenes with some of the rosters that are thinking, okay, well, hang on a second. We didn't qualify for stage 1. We've got to try and make it happen for stage 2 because, of course, over the coming weeks, we're going to get the playoffs in the different regions, then into Masters, then, of course, the whole qualification for stage 2 happens again. Then we do this all over again. So, well, they've backtracked on the benching of Ian. Jason has actually requested to be benched as a result. So, crazy stuff going on right now. Dark Zero, of course, we looked at what was happening there yesterday. They beat the FaZe Clan team, but, of course, had the playoffs for that Boom TV tournament are happening, I believe, in a few days' time here. This also, speaking of kind of the playoffs, because, I mean, in the North American region and other regions, I think Riot are probably somewhat, well, not particularly keen to go down the route of having a LAN environment, especially with fans, just because of the shambles that was the last chance qualifier last year. They tried to make it work in North America. The first 2 games went down, some people fell unwell, and all of a sudden they had to play off the stage. Like, there was server issues. They had to send everyone home and do it all online. It was an absolute disaster. Now, in the Korean region, stage 1 playoffs will have an audience being done on LAN with an audience in attendance. Thought this is fantastic to see. Not sure how many tickets exactly they were selling right here, but I mean, yeah, tickets available for purchase within an hour from this tweet, and within 1 minute of those tickets going live, they were all sold out. So I guess maybe there weren't so many seats available, but I mean, still, I thought that was pretty fantastic just to see, you know, Valorant in front of a crowd back in business once again, because that's always what we want to see. Hopefully that'll be the case in Iceland, most certainly, when we go to Reykjavik again for Masters 1. But I mean, yeah, who knows what happens at this point. Hopefully they just commit to it, right? Because all the other esports and sports are making it happen at this point. Riot, I'm sure, can figure out a way to do it as well. If they're doing it in Korea, surely we can make it happen elsewhere. To me, it just makes the event seem of much more, you know, high value and high importance when it's on LAN in front of a crowd, all this type of stuff. You don't get all the caveats of online play that, well, we're still going to have this upcoming weekend. Let's talk about this then as well, because right now a lot of players, of course, well, Russian, Ukrainian players in a very challenging spot with what's going on in the crazy world of geopolitics. But if players aren't allowed to play due to the current situation, or aren't able to play for whatever reason, like some organizations are thinking, okay, well, hang on a second here, you're not playing, your contract says that if you don't play for, you know, whatever reason, we don't have to pay you after a certain period of time. Maybe we'll just withdraw payment, right, and save a little bit on the bottom line. Of course, you know, you could argue very questionable business practice if they can still afford to pay these players given the situation. We'll talk about Angel here from FPX2 in a second, but you know, as Riot, well, formerly Dust2 says, sorry you're being bombed, but because you're not competitively moving your mouse right now, we can't pay your living wage, which seemingly is what's going to happen with Angel from March the 15th, here in just a few days' time. So, of course, FPX Angel, the IGL for that roster, Ukrainian player, like, he's actually now safe after fleeing Kiev, which is great news, but it seems plausible right now he's going to get a salary freeze because of all the chaos going on. He's maybe not playing right and doing practice and all this other stuff, playing in their matches. Therefore, FPX is thinking, okay, hang on a second, maybe just freeze this guy's salary, right? Because that's what's in the contract. So, you know, I don't know, maybe the backlash that's come out to some degree as a result of this becoming public, like, that will change their minds. Hopefully, Angel's in a good position to play again soon, but, you know, I can't imagine what he's feeling right now with family and all this type of stuff, like, you know, all that brings to the table. Hopefully, everything works out on all fronts, but, I mean, yeah, just classic esports kind of management organization type stuff, to be honest. This also from Gambit Nats, because a lot of people are thinking right now, what's going to happen here with Gambit? Because, of course, generally Russian team, a lot of players from that region, like, I mean, who knows? Because right now everything is done online, which I guess should be okay, but still, like, sanctions are coming all across the park, not just geopolitically, but also to the players and athletes that, you know, are in these particular regions. Like, are they going to be able to get visas to go to different lands? Like, I think their chance of, you know, being able to be a top team again in these kind of international lands is going to be very challenging, right? And once again, their matches seemingly are getting postponed additionally. So hopefully they don't get disqualified or anything, because we want to see, you know, the best players in the world play at the highest level. But, you know, unfortunately, this is just the world we live in right now, right? And we'll have a look at the schedule here for the matches in a few minutes' time. Does not seem ideal for these guys. A lot of the European matches have now been rescheduled, but well, Gambit are not playing over the coming days, according to Nats, at least right here. Let's dive into this then. So a bit of drama was going down last night. I think generally this is something that's been talked about for quite a bit of time that is now kind of hitting the timeline once again. So what can often happen is pro players on the very highest level with massive streams, they'll come up against guys in ranks, the likes of Trick. He's a pretty solid player. I think he's on Beta Canary right now. They haven't played a match in quite some time, but they're like 20th, 25th ranked or something along those lines in North America. So pretty solid player, pretty solid team. They'll come up against guys like this in ranked, and all of a sudden, like, the accusations start coming through. I think generally pro players need to be somewhat more careful careful sometimes on like, you know, the accusations they throw around. Because yes, ShahZaM hasn't necessarily accused him of like hacking or anything, but you know, seemingly the accusation has kind of come through that Trick was doing something dodgy, basically stream sniping, right? And stream sniping is, you know, if you're going to accuse someone of stream sniping, then effectively you're accusing them of cheating to some degree, getting information that they shouldn't otherwise be getting. Whether or not they actually did that at all is, well, is very much up for debate. And of course, whether the players should go out and say this without particular evidence is also a bit of a question, because all of a sudden, then the kind of accusations and the fan base starts coming at these guys. And we've seen this so many times in esports history, where a new player will come onto the scene, they'll just be dominating the pro players, and the pros will be like, okay, wow, this guy must be hacking, something's going on here. Happens all across esports, not just in kind of CSGO, as it has done in the past with ROPS, for example. That's to kind of prove his legitimacy, but also in games like Call of Duty, where players have been accused of not using a controller, but using a keyboard and mouse instead through something called a ZIM in order to cheat in online games. Now, whether or not they do that, of course, is up for debate, but a lot of pros have accused players of doing this, and it takes them a very long time to kind of overcome that stigma of being a cheater, right? And in this case, being a stream sniper. So as Trick tweets out, POV, you have a good read against ShahZaM in ranked, saying, I wasn't stream sniping the guy, just had a good read against him. And then people, of course, come in and reply and just do this massive long message like this, and saying, you know, you resort to stream sniping, wouldn't put hacking past you either. So because ShahZaM says something on stream, the fan base comes through, the reputation is gained, and therefore Trick has a difficult time kind of overcoming this idea that he's a stream sniper, because this is what ShahZaM had to say. So I'll share this clip for you guys real quick. As Trick describes POV, he insta-mutes you because he does not want accountability for sending me mass amounts of hate, and then you steal his match MVP streak because obviously you were sniping the other team.
Our raise is Trick.
Oh, wait, sure. Oh, I'm meeting you.
What a freak.
You guys can relay his comms.
So I don't know what you guys think about this, right? Do you think it's a particularly big deal? I think it's maybe not quite as bad as, you know, straight up accusing someone of cheating without due course, but it's not all that far from a similar thing. I just think in general the pros have to be slightly more careful sometimes, and ShahZaM has definitely been accused of doing stuff like this relatively often, right? Because, you know, young players up and coming on the scene, usually not doing anything dodgy at all, but, you know, of course, well, players saying stuff like this definitely gets the reputation through the community. It's difficult to overcome that. Other players who are playing with ShahZaM, and of course, will respect ShahZaM at a very high level, as he is a very high level player, like, take his word for granted a lot of these issues, right? And therefore it just creates complications further down the chain. But it wouldn't be North American Valorant with a bit of drama on the timeline on a Thursday night. Let's dive into this then. So these are the European matches coming up very soon indeed. So as I said, no Gambit playing this weekend, but plenty of matches going on this weekend. They have to go through so many games now to catch up. I mean, obviously many of these are very important indeed. G2 Guild sounds like a pretty exciting one. There's other great ones going on here as well. Ascend Fnatic, for example. All of these are pretty important and pretty massive indeed. Like, especially with the groups sitting like this right now, a lot of teams are just 2-0, including FPX, right, with the whole Angel situation we talked about a few minutes ago. But yeah, Guild versus G2, that's going to be an important one. Ascend Fnatic, both those teams up here, but only 3 of these teams qualify, so massively important online games over the coming days in the European side. Let's talk North America then. So these are the North American regions. There are a few things that can change this week depending on the results. Optic and Rise can still change. Rise can still qualify. Optic can still go home completely. But that's the only thing that can change the other regions, of course. Or in Group A, sorry. 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses, they're both out of there. They still have to play each other, as do Exit and Luminosity, as do the Guard and Cloud9. So number 1 spot in this group is still certainly up for grabs. The number 1 team here likely plays the Knights, which is probably slightly better than being number 2 and playing maybe Optic, maybe Rise, depending on how things go. This is the schedule for this week as well. Cloud9 versus the Guard and NRG versus Rise coming up tonight. So the battle for 5-0 is up top here, and then NRG Rise, a massive game for Rise. They have to win this one, and then they put all the pressure on Optic to make sure they win against Knights in just a couple of days' time. The final game on the Sunday, a very important qualification game indeed. Also, this real quick, just from the Guard, I thought there's a really cool graphic actually. Eyes on the 5-0 prize. Would be fantastic if these guys managed to make it work, but an awesome graphic here to get us hyped for the day. Just before we finish, I thought a really cool graphic here that Welters Games puts on the timeline. Like, well, how often does each team convert around after getting the first kill? I thought it was really cool to look actually between. So this is basically 5 versus 4 win percentage. When you get the first kill, like, well, how do you convert the game? And just looking at the kind of differences between the teams. Cloud9 and version 1 way above the rest here, 83, 82%. That's an incredibly high percentage. Like, that just shows fundamentally they're playing incredibly well. The other teams are kind of down here, like probably expected is something in this ballpark, right? A 74%. 75% seems to be about right. But if some teams are way above the rest, that's very impressive. Rise all the way down to at 68 actually, which is shockingly low, quite honestly. And 100 Thieves here at 71. So thought it was an interesting comparison between generally the better teams and the teams that generally right now are struggling on the lower side of the league. And just to finish off with this clip here from Nats to finish out the video, but very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button, tell us the YouTube gods this is a good video, others like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Valorant community. Thank you as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
Tag. My camera is destroyed.
Okay.
Cage trigger.
B, rush.
Ningún jugador detenido. Lowell acaba con la vía del primero. 4 para 5. Ahora ventaja para Team Heretic. Siguen jugando agresivos en el backside. Doble para Dex. Triple para el Mako. Quiere el 4K. Se queda solo Kelox. Quiere el ace ahora Dex. Falla la última cuchilla. Llega la rotación ya por parte de Lowly. También de Minibu. La daguita en la cabeza. Otra más para Kelox. Tiene el triple. ¡Kelox de mi vida!
¡Qué locura!